In early February 2017, after 2 months of severe winter weather, it warmed up in Weiser, Idaho. Deep snow covered the ground everywhere. The river was frozen with thick ice. When the weather warmed up rapidly, things began to melt fast. The Weiser River rapidly rose to flood stage, and the ice-covered river spread out, flooding farm fields and low-lying areas around the city of Weiser. Rain falling on deep snow caused roofs to collapse. It was a difficult time. Farmer Calvin Hickey, chairman of Flood District 3, worried about the damage and erosion that the ice flows would cause to the riverbanks and levees.
If it's moving, but when it plugs up, then of course this causes the damage. But that ice is just scouring the banks, and as long as it's moving, you know, it's just pretty awesome to see. And kind of a rumbling, crunching, and moving, and you know, there's trees, you know, going by, and all kinds of debris, and lots of ice, just a solid flush of ice.
Vicki Lukehart of the Weiser River Soil Conservation District worried about the damage as well.
It was heartbreaking when we first saw this. We could only see it the day of the flood event from far away, and this whole area was covered with ice. It looked like a foreign planet or something. It's indescribable. And to see this once we could get in here was heartbreaking, because this was a beautiful structure. And now we just look forward to repairing it and getting it going again.
Several years ago, the Weiser River Soil Conservation District created a large wetlands area to filter out sediment from an irrigation canal as part of a $456,000 water quality project funded by the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality and the Environmental Protection Agency.
The whole dike along here has been damaged in several areas. The trees, this was all solid trees. We've never been able to see through here. They're just shaved off as if they never existed.
The Weiser River spiked 2 more times in the spring of 2017, causing more damage before the river flow finally started to recede. It was time for Calvin Hickey to take stock of the damage to the riverbanks and levees that protect the lands from flooding. Starting at the Galloway diversion, Hickey surveyed the damage, and Snake River Horizons documented it with drone video footage. Hickey found numerous levees that had been damaged or breached in a 10-mile reach of the river. Upstream of the Unity Bridge, the river had cut away the levee like a knife.
Well, you can just see, I mean, the road, it was a full, complete roadway, and the river's cut in during that high water, during the ice and flood. It's cut and eroded this levee away, and it's kind of typical of several places that's done that.
In May, Hickey and Lukehart reached out to multiple state and federal agencies for help with funding and technical assistance to repair the damage.
It takes money, so that's why we're all here, and I've been here with the NRCS and just about every agency I can think of to come and look and get involved.
Washington County had been designated a disaster area by Governor Otter during the winter to assist with getting federal funding to repair damaged infrastructure from the ice flows and floods. They hoped to get funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, and possibly the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which had built the Weiser River levees in the 1960s. On a sunny day in May, Lukehart invited the Idaho Soil and Water Conservation Commission to tour the levee damage to see what resources they could provide. The Conservation Commission frequently assists local soil and water conservation districts with projects statewide. They were eager to help.
Well, I think the amount of damage that we've seen here today on this tour it speaks to the scope of the work that needs to be done, and it's a very broad scope of work. There's a lot of work, and it's going to take a partnership where we're going to need some financial assistance to pull in if we can find some pots of money. They recognize that we can't just in a slapstick fashion go to throwing Band-Aids on all these issues and these problem areas out here. We need good, sound, engineer science-based solutions, and that's what, yeah, definitely, we can offer that.
Understanding the urgent need, the Conservation Commission immediately offered 200 hours of technical assistance via staff engineer Bill Lillibridge. Lillibridge could draw up engineering plans for repairs and handle the permitting with multiple agencies.
Where do we start? What do I need to do?
Well, first thing we got to figure out is where we want to do work and what kind of work needs to be done. We need to prioritize where our money goes and where we want to do the work. We can't do it all in a year, and we might not have all the funding to do it all the way we'd like to do, so it's back to prioritizing it.
During the summer, Lillibridge did the engineering drawings and permitting to repair about 10 damaged levees and the sediment ponds area. They worked on getting funds from FEMA, but as time went on, the hurricanes in Texas and Florida diverted the agency's attention. They would have to wait. In the meantime, in October, Hickey was ready to get to work on the repairs. The permits only allowed a short window of time to work in the river to rebuild the levees and riverbanks. He started by shoring up a tall riverbank that had been eroded by high water and ice flows.
We're trying to protect that bank. Our canal system is right up on top of it. I mean, they're just a roadway and then the canal. So if we lose that, more of that bank, then we're going to lose that canal.
Hickey has been working with a contractor to install rock barbs along this section of the river. The rock barbs protect the bank and slow the river down as it passes through the rocks and willows.
It makes a dead pool when the water comes down and hits it. It makes a dead pool above there, and then it makes a dead pool below it. So then you make a series of them, and it slows that water all down, and the sediment settles in there.
The flood district has installed a whole series of rock barbs in this area to protect the vital riverbank next to the Sunnyside Canal. Above the Unity Bridge, Hickey worked with a contractor to restore the levee along the Weiser River and integrate a series of rock barbs in the riverbank to slow down the water and protect the bank from the strong river current and future ice flows. Willows will quickly grow back on the riverbank and help anchor the levee. An aerial view shows how the contractor followed the engineering design provided by Bill Lillibridge of the Conservation Commission. The river current hits the toe of the rock barbs, slows down, and forms an eddy behind the rocks, thereby reducing streambank erosion overall. By the Twin Bridges area, Hickey worked with a contractor to restore the levee on both sides of the river, following the Commission's engineering designs.
Well, basically all the material except the big rock was here in the pond. So the guy came in with the cat and cleaned it back up and filled the hole, and then we brought all this. I think I brought 19 big loads of this big rock, and then they put a little bit of the gravel on top because it had washed down to the big rock just to make a nice road bed and bring it back up to grade.
Lillibridge designed the riverbank repairs so that the new levees would meet Army Corps of Engineers standards, an important consideration for any future damage that might occur. An official with the Corps liked the project.
A lady from the Corps came and inspected it, and she thought it looked really good. She said, that's more than we could have fixed it, because we would have only been able to put it back like it originally was. So she was tickled to death to see this big armor type rock there. So I felt good about it.
The Payette Ditch Company also helped clean up the sediment ponds adjacent to the levee, so the water quality project will function correctly.
The integrity of the pond is fine. It broke through right before the lower part of the upper pond, and this long area where it flows shallow.
Both Lukart and Hickey appreciated the engineering assistance provided by Bill Lillibridge and the Conservation Commission.
It was a huge help because he did all the permitting. It took some time, but he came out, he made a couple trips down here and we looked at the sites, and he did all the paperwork, the technical work, and got the permits. So that was huge for me. And then he's been here and given me personal advice a couple of times, so that was big too, because it's nice to have that professional opinion. I don't have a real title, but other guys do. But I've done a lot of this and I've learned a lot, so.
Yeah.
But just my opinion, I'd rather have the professional opinion.
Hickey managed to pay for the highest priority projects with flood district funds and landowner cost share funds. He got more than 5 areas repaired.
Thank God that the flood district actually had some money, because if we had just waited on funding from FEMA, it wouldn't have come, because they had quite a few big disasters they needed to take care of with the hurricanes in Texas and Florida, and that put us on hold. And it's my understanding that here we are in December, and it's actually, they're back in town and ready to do business. You know, well, we've already gotten a lot of things repaired. We couldn't wait for the paperwork and money to be done. We had to do it as the weather permitted. And so the district, the flood control district, got a lot of work done when they had to get it done.
I feel real good about what we've got done for the money we've spent. And these two here, where, I mean, if any flooding happens here, it goes into the town of Weiser, both sides, so I'm tickled to death to have these repaired.